This video is for the 13.3 work together. So it tells us that we are going to prepare Form 941 for concept designs for the first quarter of the current year. The company address is given to us, the employee identification number is given to us, and then it says that the company has 8 employees. They also up here in our question assets are going to give us earnings and taxes for each of those months in that quarter. Okay, so when we look at our form, our top information is just going to be the basic information about that employer. So the employer identification number, that is given to us in the directions. So I'm going to fill that in. The name of the business is Concept Designs. There is no trade name. They would tell us that kind of information in the directions if it was. They give us the address, so 12043 Washington Street. There is not a suite or room number. Naperville, Illinois, and then the zip code. 4158. We also need to check which quarter we are filling this out for. It does tell us in the directions that we are doing this for the first quarter. The other clue too is when we're looking at our earnings and taxes, January, February, and March, that is our first quarter. Okay, then I'm going to go down and I'm literally going to go row by row. Like I said in the lecture video, these labels over here on the left are pretty straightforward to help us answer what needs to go into those boxes. So the number of employees that was given to us in the directions, that is our 8. Next is going to be our wages, tips, and other compensation. So to look at that, I'm going to scroll up to the top, and they're giving us our total earnings for the 3 months. I need to add those 3 months of earnings together. Oops. My calculator is not working. All right, there we go. Okay, so I get then 35,640. Then it asks me for my income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation. When I scroll back up here, I see my federal income tax for the 3 months. Again, I'm going to add those 3 together. So my total income tax that was withheld is going to be $2,144. Line number 4, it says if no wages, tips, and other compensation is subject to Social Security or Medicare tax, you're going to check this and go to line 6E. That is not us. We are subject to Social Security and Medicare, so we are going to go down to line 5A. Line 5A then, it says taxable Social Security wages. So what they're asking me is from these wages that I figured out in number 2, how much of that are we going to tax for Social Security? We're going to tax that whole amount, so 35,640. Then it tells me right here, I'm going to take that times 0.124. So I get 4,419.36. Now when I look at this number here, 0.124, if I were to write that as a percentage, that would be 12.4%. If we think about that, Social Security is taxed at 6.2%. The reason that this number would be 12.4% is because we are looking at the Social Security tax for the employee plus the employer. So we are looking at the total Social Security taxes that we held from the employee and then the employer side of those Social Security taxes as well. That is why that percentage is doubled. Next line then is taxable Social Security tips. Directions don't tell us anything about tips, so we're simply going to put in a 0. What I always say with MindTap is put those zeros in. If you notice, when I put that 0 in and then I click out of that cell, it deletes it. It will keep that 0 if it wants it. Otherwise, it deletes it. So I would rather put the 0 in just in case they want that 0. Okay. Line 5C, then it says Medicare wages and tips. So again, we're going to look back to number 2, and they're saying how much of these wages and tips can we tax for Medicare. So it's going to be the full amount again, so $35,640. And then again, here they tell us we're going to multiply that by 0.029. I get then 1,033.56. Again, when I look at this number, that would be written as 2.9%. So when we think about Medicare, Medicare is taxed at 1.45%. If we would double 1.45%, that would be 2.9%. The reason that we are doubling it is because we are looking at the employee side of Medicare and the employer side of Medicare. That's how we get this total number. Okay, line 5D says we're going to add column 2, line A, or line 5A, column 2, line 5B, and column 2, line 5C. So we are adding this column 2 together. The total I get then is 5,452.92. Line 6A says number of qualified employees first paid exempt wages this quarter. It doesn't say anything about that in the directions, so again, 0. Number of qualified employees paid exempt wages tips this quarter, 0. 6C, exempt wages then, we don't have any. Again, remember, I'm going to put those zeros in there just to make sure that MindTap doesn't want those zeros. Line 6E says total taxes before adjustments, and it tells us exactly what we're going to do here. It says we're going to take line 3, so line 3 plus line 5D minus line 6D to get 6E. So I get 7,596.92. 7A is current quarter's adjustment for fraction of cents, nothing. Sick pay, nothing. Tips and life insurance, nothing. Again, if they're going to have something like that, they will tell us in the directions. Number 8 then says total taxes after adjustments. And again, they tell us exactly what they're going to do here. It says we're going to combine lines 6E through 7C. So we would add all of those. Well, we have nothing to add in there, so we're just pulling this number now, 7,596.92. Advanced earned income credit, we don't have anything like that. So total taxes after the adjustment, again, it tells me what I'm going to do. I'm going to take line 8 minus line 9. There's nothing in line 9, so it's simply going to be 7,596.92 again. Okay, then it says total deposits, including prior quarter overpayments. Now for this line, we're actually going to jump down to the bottom and we're going to go to this page here. And so we're looking at this part 2, and it says, if you are unsure about whether you're a monthly schedule, see that. Okay, so we're going to just look at number 16. It says select the state abbreviation for the state. We're in Illinois. And then it says check 1. It says line 10 on this return is less than 2,500. So if I scroll back up to line 10, it is not less than 2,500, so I would not check that one. Then it says if you were a monthly scheduled depositor for the entire quarter, enter your tax liability for each month and total liability for the. This is where we are going to check. We are a monthly scheduled depositor for the entire quarter. So here it says tax liability, and it's broken down for each month of that quarter. So month 1, 2, and 3. So to get these tax liabilities, I actually need to scroll all the way back up to the top again, and I'm going to be looking at these numbers. Here are my taxes. So January, they're showing me my federal, my employee Social Security, and my employee Medicare. So the reason that I kind of stressed employee Social Security and employee Medicare is that, remember, Social Security is paid by the employee and the employer. Same with Medicare. Medicare is paid by the employee and the employer. So these two numbers actually need to be doubled because they are showing us only one side of it. So the way that I do it is I actually add both of them together. So I'm going to take 721.68 plus the Medicare of 168.78. I need to double that number to include the employer side of Social Security and Medicare. So I'm going to multiply that times 2. I now get $1,780.92. I also need to add in my federal income. Now, this is just that straightforward number. I don't need to double that number. I'm going to scroll back down. What I get for my first month of January is going to be $2,478.92. I'm going to go back up and I'm going to look at February's. Again, I need to double the Social Security and I need to double Medicare. So I'm going to add those two together. And then I'm going to multiply that times 2 to double that. I then am going to add my federal income. I'm going to scroll back down and fill in that number for month 2, 2,538.7. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up and now I'm looking at March. So I need to double my Social Security and double my Medicare. So I'm adding those two together. Then I'm going to double those. And then I'm going to add my federal income. Scroll back down. My month 3, then I got 2,579.3. Then it asks for my total liability for the quarter. So to figure out the total liability, I'm going to add those 3 numbers together. I get 7,596.92. It does tell me here that this number needs to equal line 10. So I'm going to actually scroll back up. And I'm going to make sure, I can't get them on the same screen, but I'm going to make sure that those two numbers equal. This is a huge hint, guys. If you are not calculating those liability taxes correctly, if your 11 and your 10 numbers do not match, that tells you have a problem. More than likely, what I see more often than not is these numbers do not equal because you forgot to double your Social Security and your Medicare. Okay, so moving on to line 12A, it talks about COBRA premium assistance. That's going to be a 0. We don't have anything about individuals provided COBRA. We don't have anything about qualified employees, paid exempt wages. So here they're talking about exempt wages again, so that would be 0, 0. Number 13, then it says we're going to add lines 11, 12A and 12E. Well, there's nothing in 12A or 12E, so we're simply pulling that number from 11 down. Balance due, then, it says if line 10 is more than line 13, enter the difference. Well, these are just 0. We're subtracting, so it's just 0. Okay. That is all we need to fill in then. So that is the end of the 13.3. Everything looks good. You can now go on to the on your own.